Another project that we wanted to attempt was juggling in space. Now, I'm really an amateur juggler. I have never really done very much juggling. About 3 years ago or so, somebody gave me a set of juggling bags for Christmas, and I threw them around the house a lot, and I had to chase them underneath the furniture, and they rolled around. And I discovered very early on that if you're going to do juggling, what you don't want to start out with is balls. Balls, of course, are what the pros use, and clubs and things like that, but the trouble with balls is when you drop them, they roll underneath everything, and you really have to go chase them around all the time. These little penguins are stuffed with some sort of beanbag sort of thing, and they're much better. First of all, they don't roll around when you drop them, and second of all, they're easier to catch. So when you first start out juggling, the idea is to throw an object from one hand to another, just one at a time. In fact, when they start out, what they ask you to do is throw it from one hand and just not even try and catch it and let it fall down. I quickly mastered that, and even you guys can do that. And then you progress on up to 3, and some folks are way above that in the order of 5, 7, and 9, and I've even heard of people being able to juggle 10 different objects at once. In 1G, that's really tough. In 0G, however, it's not quite so difficult. The real problem in 0G is positioning the objects, in that you get them in some position with very little force and very little velocity in any direction, and letting go of it so that it stays in that position is the real problem. Okay, so 1G juggling is a simple matter of tossing an object from one hand to another. Okay, something like this. It's tough to see against that light, Joe. And then, I guess if you can do one hand at a time, or either hand, and switch back and forth, that's kind of a fun thing to do also. And this can go on and on with various sorts of manipulations around your back and over your head and between your legs and that sort of stuff, but that's for good guys. And for us amateurs, we have a lot of trouble with that sort of thing. So, now how do you think that these guys are going to behave in 0G? When I toss him up, the penguin up, or actually what we use were apples and oranges, because that's what we happen to have. We didn't have any penguins as part of the toy kit because we have some flammability standards and some problems with that. When you toss him up in 0G, what's going to happen? Right, he's going to just keep on going. So you can't toss him up and allow gravity to pull him back down into your other hand like we can in 1G. So we tried positioning a actual circular array of objects, in this case fruit, in a circular array, and just replacing one object with another one and actually shifting them around, which is a manipulation, if you will, and a form of juggling, although not juggling in its purest sense. What we finally ended up doing, in a juggling sense, with 3 objects was tossing them from hand to hand in this direction, back and forth, trying not to impart any vertical velocity to them, merely a horizontal velocity, so that you could at any single time have one object in one hand or several objects moving back and forth in front of you in a horizontal direction rather than getting the vertical direction. Keeping control of them, as you can see from the film, is a real problem. If you ever let them get away, then you end up reaching all over the place, as you saw me do with these little penguins, reaching all over the place trying to recover them, and you end up with a disaster. The real problem with our fruit juggling, of course, was that I had to do it very early on in the flight, and I didn't get a whole lot of practice in order to perfect the technique, because by the end of the flight, all my props had disappeared. The crew ate them.